Hey guys, welcome to Layman's Terms Podcast, place where we talk about really big topics using the smallest words possible. I'm Danny the bartender.
And I'm Tommy the trash man.
And together we're just two guys trying to explain the ever-changing world around us the only way that we know how.
So today we have a special guest. It's a lovely lady that some of our Southwest viewers, listeners will know. Kelly Gerace. She has a, we had her on to talk about a little change of life that she's going through right now. Several months ago, Kelly was diagnosed with breast cancer. So we just want to have her on and talk about how everything's going. So Kel, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Kel.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you.
Yeah. So how is everything?
So today is a good day, but I can definitely say I've had, there's a lot more bad days than good days. My life drastically changed. I was diagnosed in July. I don't think I'll ever forget that day because it was one of those phone calls that literally drops you to your knees and you feel like you can't breathe because you hear the word that you never think at only 41 years old you're going to hear.
Right.
And I think I'm still in disbelief because everything feels so surreal, like the appointments and treatments and how everything is just flowing. Like it feels like almost like someone else is pulling me through this. Like it's not me because there's so much going on. And when I think back to like 5 years ago, something that stressed me out compared to now, I'm like, how am I handling this? Like I still get up and smile. I still try to like be positive and like have a normal day. Like normalcy makes me happy. Like that's what just to do, like I went out this morning and had brunch with girlfriends. Like that just set the whole vibe for my day today because some days I'm in the hospital all day.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the tiniest things in life, like a hot shower, that something might be that you guys take for granted.
Right.
It's just my life changed and, I'm doing well. However, I went through like one of the hardest chemotherapies that's out there and for a breast cancer treatment. And I just was never so sick. Like chemo makes you feel like you're dying. Like people had asked me like, what did it feel like? Like it's hard. It's like, it's weird. It's poison that gets you better, but yet it kills your body. It kills your cells. Women lose their hair. I was able to save my hair, like with different things today. I was able to keep my eyebrows, like that means everything to me. So I can go out into a store right now and not one person turns their head and stares at me.
Right.
Like, he's sick and she shouldn't be out. It's a pandemic. Or, I can go out without judgment right now. And I need to do those things because mental health is just as important as, your physical health in life. And this pandemic on top of what I've been through, I've had to do a lot of things alone. I can't have, my first appointment with my breast surgeon, I had to do it by myself. They won't let my fiance in. COVID restrictions like lifted a little bit in the beginning that I could have my son and my fiance at some of my infusions, but I'd say 90% of everything I've been through, surgery and all, absolutely alone. And it's crazy.
Well, I was thinking too, you said like normalcy is something that you like, that you enjoy, and this isn't the time for normalcy.
Nope.
So it must be difficult.
It's so hard, but it makes me appreciate, like, I appreciate that the sun's out right now. Like, I just have such a different perspective. And when you get a diagnosis like this too, the hardest part is, like, you don't know how long you're going to be here to be healthy, and I have fears. I have a son that's, thriving in life and graduating college. And, I want to be there when he has a child one day. And, I have plans for myself. I'm type A with like, I've always been like, oh, here's my timeline. This is what I want to do, how I'm going to do it. And I feel like every time I go to make plans in life, it doesn't work for me. It does not work. So like it's just been so hard with, everything, but I'm just hoping that I had my surgery. I'm 6 weeks out from that. So I'm still like recuperating, but I'm doing phenomenal. hardly the pain. I like fought through it as much as I could because I don't even like to take Advil. I'm just determined, like I'm on a second line of treatment, but like on a good day, I'm gonna go for a walk or go work out. I'm trying to change my diet. Like I'm just trying to do everything I can in my power to stay healthy and live a long life, you know?
Yeah. So a few months ago, this isn't really comparable, but so Kelly and I, so we have a lot of mutual friends, and we actually had a shore house together back, God, what was that in like 2010,
2011
2011,
or
something like
maybe
that?
20. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of our roommates from there, Stephanie, she would always have a lot of moles taken off. I don't know if you
Mhm.
remember that.
No, I don't remember that. You know, I never got down there on a weekend that I think she was there, which is crazy. Like I didn't go down much, but I did go sometimes during the week. But Steph and I never got to hang out down there.
Yeah, I think you were there the first weekend with everyone, and that was
Oh,
about
well,
it.
maybe I don't remember, and maybe that's because there was too much drinking. Like I don't.
Yeah, yeah, there was definitely a lot of people the first weekend. So Stephanie, she's an Irish girl. She's got a bunch of little moles going on, and she's had several removed. So I guess it was about a year and a half ago or so, I kept getting this rash on my forehead. And I was like, I don't know what the hell it is. I just kept letting it go. And then eventually I'm like, I can't get rid of this. Like, I have no idea. And it was just awkward because my forehead was just beet red.
Right, right.
So I went to the dermatologist and, they're trying to figure that out. And I was like, well, while I'm here, I have a few moles. Why don't you get them checked out? And he had to do a biopsy on one because it looked a little suspicious. So it was about a week. And I'm like, well, I guess no news is good news, right? So I'm just going about everyday life. And then they call me and they're like, there was like two different things. One was like a skin tag, and they were like, there's nothing to worry about. And the other thing, they were like, well, it's precancerous. So, we want to have you come in and have that taken off. Now, I was like, I was at work and I'm about to drive a fucking trash truck, all the way or all over town to go dump it. And as soon as she said that,
Mm-hmm.
my heart like stopped. I was like, wait. What do you mean? And she's like, well, it's like at stage, I don't know, 2 or 3 pre-cancer. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like,
Right.
so again, I don't know exactly what you mean, but I can like when she mentioned cancer, I was like
Mm-hmm.
taken back, and I'm like, okay. So, and she was like, I would imagine something like that for her to make that phone call. She probably does it all the time. So she probably just like wants to get off the phone with somebody and just like come in, see the doctor, they'll talk to you.
Yeah.
And, I go in and had it taken care of. And obviously it's not something, they took care of it. It wasn't cancerous, but it was,
Thank
you know,
God.
it was obviously something
If you
that,
would have left it, it could have turned into and grew into something.
right. And, I work outside, so I'm constantly in all the elements in the sun and so,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's one thing, now he's like, well, you should probably get checked out yearly, working out in the sun. And now we're getting to that age where it's kind of like, we have to be very conscious of,
Yeah, absolutely. If
you
you
know,
want to live a long life, you need to start eating right and working out and doing all the right things in order to, because I feel like too, like, growing up in the city with refineries for our backyard, not good. There's so many, cancer cases just out of Southwest alone and South Philadelphia. Like, um, it's bad. There's a lot of cancer cases right in my area in Delaware County, right here. I'm the 5th breast cancer case in like a 2-block radius
wow.
where I live. Um, with me, this actually started for me at 33 years old. Um, I had a lump that grew and I had a biopsy then. So this started a long time ago. And believe it or not, I've never missed a mammogram in my life. I've never neglected my health. Like I've always been on top of everything. Um, I do think I was misdiagnosed because how does someone that was clear one year, first I got told in August, they thought before I moved everything to Penn, they said to me, well, we think it's stage 0. We'll probably just do a full mastectomy and you'll do some radiation and you'll be okay. So I'm like, okay, but you still hear the word cancer in stage 0. So that's still life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they're like, we need further testing. And then these were all the scary biopsies that I had to have done alone. My fiance had to drop me off at a couple. They won't even let him in the building at one point. And I had to have a breast MRI. And I had the breast MRI, and they inject you with dye. And then all the areas that are suspicious will light up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my lymph nodes lit up, my left breast lit up, my right breast had 2 different areas. I'm still uncertain because I've had 2 different radiologists write reports, and one was saying there was an area that was up to 6 centimeters, and then one in July said 4. So it's crazy. So that's a big area to have cancer. If you think about, that's probably like the size of a baseball, 6 centimeters, right?
You're asking the wrong math
Yeah.
guy here, but
So, it's just like, how did this go undiagnosed for so long? I've never missed, like, I was going 6 months. I was going twice a year at one point in my life because it started at 33 and I had biopsies. I had surgery when I was 35. Another lump grew that was 2 centimeters. That's like the size of a cookie that was sitting in my right breast. They removed that, came back benign, followed up 6 months for a few years. Finally, I guess I was like 38, and they said, we think you're good, you're cleared. So I stayed in Delaware County being treated. My surgery was at Penn for the lumpectomy, and I trusted that like I was going to be fine. And then when they told me, possibly stage 0, fast forward, move everything back to Penn in August, they do all the testing. Come to find out, my latest diagnosis was after my surgery 6 weeks ago. My final stage is 2B. So cancer stages are 0, and I believe it's like A, B, or C. So I'm like this close to stage 3.
Yeah.
How does that happen when I eat good? I've never smoked. Like, I hardly drink. Like, I enjoy a glass of wine every now and then, but my fiance's sober. So like those drinking days plus getting older in life, and like I stopped all that, like everybody, you know what I mean? Like I've always tried to do everything right. Like, and I'm not like a soda drinker, or, I always try to drink water all day and tea. I don't even like coffee. Like, it's insane. It's insane. But I tend to think that like so much is environment.
Yeah, I didn't even know that there was, like, I know 1, 2, 3, 4 stages, but I didn't know there
Right.
was an A, B, and C in
I didn't
between.
until this. Yeah.
Wow.
But so everything is removed now. Like, all the cancer is out of me. But my treatment's not over. I start radiation on Monday, and then I have to do that every day in Radnor for 5 weeks. And I started a second line of chemo last Friday. So I was really sick last weekend. So it's good that we're doing this now. So I go every 21 days to Penn, where I have infusions, and I'm down there. I was down there all day last Friday, and I just hate walking in there. I hate the smell. When I walk in, it makes me nauseous. Like, it's hard, but I'm lucky that there are these treatments available to me, because hopefully, they're going to work for me and keep me going. But the hardest part of this whole thing was I had an MRI like after my chemo. It was December 30th. So I finished my last chemotherapy. It was December 1st. I had it from September until December. And that's a long time. And I'm not like a big girl, like to keep taking it and taking it and taking
Right.
it. There were days I couldn't even lift my head up. Like, that's how weak. I couldn't even talk, and sometimes still having a conversation can tire me out. Like, that's how weak I am. I'm losing my train of thought. So my MRI was December 30th, and I found out that chemo, and I didn't even know that this was a possibility, it only partially worked for me. I didn't even know that there was a chance it couldn't work. And if it was, I never had that thought in my mind that that would be me.
Yeah, yeah.
So my cancer had spread to 2 of my lymph nodes in my right arm, my underarm.
Okay.
And the chemo didn't work at all in my underarm, and it partially worked in my breast. So it reduced the size of the tumor in my breast. but it didn't take care of it all. Like when they removed it at surgery and when they look at like the pathology, I still had 1 centimeter of active cancer going on after everything I went through. This type of cancer is really aggressive and it's trying to get me in the worst way. So, you know, my biggest fear is too that like I might be in treatment for life. Like I don't know. There's a lot of women, once this happens, it can come back and then you're metastatic at that point.
Yeah.
And that means that you're terminal. Um, Thankfully, that's not me, and I
Yeah.
hope it's never me. My doctors are still optimistic, and they say I'm still curable, still treatable because of all these new treatments, but you never know. And I feel like I have like 1 foot in, like, I hate to say that, but already being stage 2, like, I,
It's got to be it's confusing. It's got to be.
it's devastating. It's
Right.
just like, how did this happen to me? You know
Right,
what I
right.
mean? Like I don't like to say why me. I've never said that, but I just don't understand when you do take care of yourself in life. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a lot.
I had the
It's a
same,
lot.
you know, I was like, people would always tell me to wear sunscreen, and I was like, whatever, you
Mhm.
know, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm thinking, man, I'm like, you know, that's just one thing for
Yeah,
me. Like, I was like, obviously, that's something that I could have done to help prevent it. But I would imagine that, you know, for you, you would probably be asking yourselves, like, what could I have done? Like, how does this
Well,
happen? You know?
well, I also think like, and us all, we've seen, through our Facebook friends or people we've grown up with, there's certain people that certain things happen and you look and you kind of you kind of know their history, their life, and you kind of, it's sad, but it is what it is. And then something like this comes about and you realize like, what we when you like, it's like you said, like, what have you ever done unhealthy? And I think, not to use your situation, but it's also a big wig. I know a lot of people that are devastated when you were first diagnosed by it, and I think one of the big things is you realize when someone like you gets something, it's
right.
kind of like it can happen to anybody at
Anybody,
any
I know.
moment. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and there were some things. So you were saying you're going through chemo treatments. Now,
Mhm.
obviously, so I'm a little bit stupid when it comes to all this. The
It's okay.
chemo and radiation are two separate approaches.
Yes.
Uh,
So radiation it's not, it doesn't hurt. It's could be it well after, several weeks of it, I believe they said it can make me really tired, and because I'm still in treatment, so like there some people say they come home and sleep, and and then other people are like, radiation is nothing, like you're going to be fine, like you've been through the hard part. I met with my radiation oncologist. He's brilliant. He's 37 years old. He's the director of radiation for Penn Medicine in Radnor. I absolutely love him. He's so confident with me, my health, my age. He's like, you're young, 15 years from now. And I'm like, wait, what? You think I'm going to be here? Because some days I don't know if I'm
yeah,
like
yeah.
he's like, I needed like that reassurance from him. And he's like, you're going to be fine. They have a brand new machine. It's a new facility up there. So basically it's just like, after time, it could be like a burn. So like I have creams and stuff that I'll have to use, but I am going to have radiation from my underarm, like to get my lymph nodes, and it's going to go all the way to my chest. So I'm scared about that. And it is every day. So it's just like, here we go again with another step in this journey. But I also feel like maybe I'll never have to do this again. And I just need to do everything I can in my power
Yeah.
to keep this away. So what this is going to do is radiation kills your DNA. Okay. So say at surgery or whenever, I mean, my chemo did not work. So I need all the treatments that I can get my hands on, in my opinion. So if there are cells that escaped during that, the radiation's going to be there to take care of them and kill and destroy, to help from a further spread. I'm lucky, considering the chemo didn't work in my lymph nodes. I'm so grateful, whether it was a miracle or the one immunotherapy that they have me on did work. It didn't spread to further nodes because, like, I'm lucky that I wasn't stage 3 after surgery.
Yeah.
That would have been really bad. So like the
Mhm.
fact that like I'm still in the curable terms and still treatable. Like, I'm so grateful that like I still have a chance that I can beat this, you know what I mean? And I'm so thankful that we have the best hospitals here, and that, you know, the doctors at Penn are amazing. And like I couldn't imagine going anywhere else. So I hope that my care team, you know, comes up with like a plan that keeps me here for a long time. But yeah, so the radiation will ultimately like burn me, make me tired, but it's nothing like the chemo. But the chemo is IV. I have a port placed in me. I don't know if you could say it, but so I get like poked here every 21 days, and then they go directly in and they just inject you with poison.
Yeah.
But this second line of treatment is, some people call it like a baby chemotherapy. It's much more tolerable what I went through in the fall. If this were September, October, I wouldn't be able to even like sit up and talk to you this long, because I would just be so sick and tired. But the chemo, like how I felt last Saturday, like I woke up like I had the worst hangover in the world. And you know, when you're hungover and like you drink a fountain soda and you get like that relief,
You
Yeah.
and like
feel it
you eat like a
instantaneous.
cheesesteak and you feel
Yeah.
like, oh, I
Yeah.
just needed that, and pop a Tylenol or an Advil and you're good and your day. I was drinking vitamin water, Gatorade, water, you know, all day, eating carbs, no relief. Like it just takes time to like bounce back. I had to go to bed like probably 6 p.m. Saturday night, and thankfully I woke up Sunday feeling pretty good, and then went out Sunday morning for a little bit, but then I was in bed by 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. So like I can't do a whole lot. Like when I get a stretch, like I'm so grateful to like feel good, be energetic, be able to talk. But then when I feel it coming on, like I just have to go lay down, you know?
Yeah, because I thought I saw you. Didn't you go to the gym? Didn't I see you recently?
I went to the gym before the treatment started. So I was just starting to feel really, really good, and was trying to squeeze it all in, because I didn't know what this treatment was going to do to me, and if I was going to be able to handle working out. I won't speak out from it. I'm going to be able to work out. I can definitely, like, I could probably do something today. I can't go crazy at the gym.
Yeah.
And I didn't go crazy that day. It actually made me cry that I was watching everybody else, you know, go to the extreme. And I was one of those people. And I was always one of those people that, like, I felt like people probably looked at me like, damn, look at her go. Like, you know, I was in great shape.
Yeah.
Great shape. And I'm not in bad shape now, but I just have to work on getting my strength back. But that's really hard when you have all this poison in your body that's like making your bones ache and causing you to, you know, have to take a nap. I'm like, what? I never took a nap in my life. I don't, like, I was always on the go. Like I worked out, you know, like I never stopped before. And now it's like, sometimes I'm just on the couch all day, and I don't like that. So I'll fight myself. And even if it's just go for a slow walk outside, I'm going.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I do plan to be back to the gym. This treatment's not going to hold me down. The first round was the longest. So they give you the most medicine in the beginning, and then they kind of scale back and see what you can handle, what your side effects are. So when I go back in 2 weeks, I'm going to say, like, you can get fluids after to help with the hydration the next day. So I'm going to ask for that. It'll only be 30 minutes of infusion. So I have faith and confidence in myself that, like, I'm going to be okay, and I'm going to fight through this, because unfortunately, I'll be in this treatment, I think, until 2022. So
oh wow.
I still have a long ways to go.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I
I
have
know,
13 more rounds of it. So
you know, one of the reasons that we thought about having you on was definitely your positivity throughout this, because, you
thank
know,
you.
I felt stupid. You know, I think I posted something on Instagram that was like something about life being difficult or whatever. And I think you commented on it like, hey, listen, you know, it'll be okay. You know, you still have your health, blah, 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 blah. And here I am. And I'm like, I feel like such a shithead now. You know what I mean?
No, don't, because I used to be like that too. Like, you think, oh, like you start your day and like you know, your drink spills as you're trying to walk out the door, and then like your shoe breaks. Well, I don't know about you guys, but like I wear heels every day
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
work. So like
I think
little
you
things
were,
can happen that you're like, Jesus Christ, like, excuse my language, but you know, there's little things happen in life that annoy you and like bring you down. And that's so, that's normal, you know. But for me now, like, my perspective has totally changed. like where you can't sweat that stuff. And I'm trying to tell my son, like he started his senior year and he was like so stressed in the beginning and worried about like how everything was going to fall into place. And I give him so much credit because he's doing so much more than I ever did at his age, like between a full-time course load, he has clinicals and he's working. Like, and that's like easy for a 21-year-old to be stressed at all that, like, you know, graduating and, oh my God, I have to find a job, and he's moving out on his own with his girlfriend. But I'm like, listen, it's all going to be okay. Like, you know, I hope that there's a silver lining to this in life, that maybe, you know, it's going to make me a better person and help. I know that there's been even random people that have reached out to me, like, I had a mammogram because of you.
Yeah.
And I changed this because of you. I switched my deodorant because of you. And if there's one listener that, you know, hears this podcast and maybe they didn't get their mammogram because COVID hit and it was really hard to get an appointment for a long time, maybe this is going to, you know, motivate them to call on Monday morning, then I'm doing a good job. Because, you know, we need to be our own advocate in life, and you need to stay on top of that. And like you said, with getting older too, like, things do not feel the way they did 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Like, we have to work at it now. You have to work at being healthy, and you have to work at being happy.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything is like a little job in life now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But,
and it's tough with everything that's going on in the world, you know, with between politics and COVID. It really is tough for people to stay positive. And even like what you said, with people not getting checked up and getting their health checked into with COVID.
mhm.
I know, like, you know, I have little things, little issues here and there, and I'm like, man, I haven't been to the doctors in
You have to
forever.
go. I get on my fiance about it too. I'm like, did you do this? Did you do that? And he's just like typical guy, like, oh. But I'm like, you can't. Like, you need to get your blood work every year. You need to get your physical. Like, you and it's just still crazy because I was always that person that did it all.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I never neglected my body, never.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I'm on my mom and my dad about that, like, you know, and my parents, God love them, they're healthy. They're both, my dad's 72, my mom's 71, but like, they're that generation that, like, you're not, if they tell you no on something, you got to back off because you're not going to change somebody now, you know.
Yeah.
With my mom, you know, I'm like, listen, I'll like figure out time and I'll take you if I have to. And I think now, like, watching their child go through stuff has put a fear in them. Like, my mom is definitely ignoring some appointments because of me. But I'm like, Mom, it's going to be fine. Like, whatever it is now, I went through it and like, I can help you, you know. I
Yeah.
have so much knowledge and experience, and I know the right doctors. I know how to, you know, navigate through everything that, like, I don't know. I just try to believe that everything happens for a reason. And the good that came out of this obviously is like the love and support and my girlfriends and family. Like, that has just been something I could have never imagined to have in a million years. But I have to think that, like, I hope that, like, I could be a better person too. Like, that's not just that, like, there's gotta be more to this for me, you know, whether it's that I completely change my lifestyle or, you know, my diet, like, to plant-based, where I was like borderline vegan for a long time.
Yeah.
Never ever a big red meat eater, but, you know, because there's arguments with that could cause cancer. And like, the type of cancer that I have too, they say that it's like a high fat diet and meat. And I'm like, well, well, does that make sense with
Yeah.
me?
Right.
So, but I don't know. I also think that this type of cancer could be environment too. And that's the scariest part because, like, how far can you really move, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's one thing, you know, one thing that we've talked about on this podcast about censorship and medicine, and it's kind of weird how people were going about COVID, and how you just said, you know, the doctors were like, it's usually associated with a high fat diet, red meat, and you're like, well, that's
It's
not
not
me.
me.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's like that's why one of the things that we talk about on here is censorship, and it's something with medicine. It's always a revolving door. You know, 10 years from now, they're going to know something that was completely false, and that's not the case. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So,
Yeah, and I think 10 years from now, there's going to be a vaccine available to young girls in their 30s that they might not even be sitting in my shoes, which, thank God. I just wish that we had that now, you know?
Yeah.
yeah. So, and one other thing that you were talking about, you know, with support and everything. Are there like any support groups that you've like
Hmm. No,
joined or?
absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing though to see like there are some groups that get funding, and one is Unite for Her, and it's pretty cool. Like I haven't got like they usually will send you like fresh produce, and they sent me like a booklet where I could do like acupuncture, and they send you some literature like how to educate yourself with cooking. But like I've always kind of ate healthy, so I don't really need to be taught like how to eat.
Yeah.
But um, I have that, and then on Facebook there's a lot of support groups. Some of them though are hard for me because this is such a new lifestyle that like I'll read some things and you tend to only see the bad. I hate to say that. Like there's been so many positive women, don't get me wrong, but you'll see a lot of people posting because people aren't going to post like I'm doing amazing and I'm 5 years cancer free and I'm living my life, because they're just too busy living it to share it. Unfortunately, you see more of, well, I was diagnosed with a second type of cancer, or, you know, so some things are hard for me right now. Like I love the connections and friends that I've made and learning and getting all the knowledge, but at the same time, I try to take a step back from it and just rely on my doctors for what they think is best for me, and my girlfriends, um, you know, to help me through, because when you're in a dark place and then you're reading that someone that had your diagnosis now has, you know, cancer in their lungs or in their bones, and they're only, you know, 45 years old, I, I'm like, I'm not that strong to like sit there and coach this girl on and cheer her on and say, you got this. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I
it's
think
not like, that's not something that she wants to hear, because
yeah.
she's devastated and probably feels like she wants to die. So, you know, like in the beginning when everyone's cheering you on, that's okay. But like, I feel like after a certain point, there are no words that you can tell someone. And I don't know, that's hard for me. But there is a lot of support groups through Facebook. It's just, the more I feel like I'm off there and not reading them, the better I am in my mind and my mentality. I have a lot of books that I've been reading. There's one person that I really admire. She's on Good Morning America. She's one of the news reporters, Amy Robach. She's absolutely beautiful. She had the almost the same diagnosis as me, same staging, went to her lymph nodes. She's probably 48 or 49. She's a runner every day. She's what inspires me. I read her book. It's called Better. It's just all about being positive and like, you know, what got her through. And that's who I tend to gravitate towards, because that's what I need. Like I need to see people thriving in order to keep myself going, because that's what I want to be, you know? Like I want to be 48 years old and running 5 miles a day, you know, like that's a goal for me in life. Like I want to get there, you know, I want her strength, because she actually had her first mammogram on live air. I don't know if you guys probably don't remember hearing this story. It was,
I do remember. I remember hearing about this person. Yeah.
yeah, it was a big deal, and that's scary. She had, I think, just turned 40, and they did a segment on Good Morning America for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and she was like hesitant and reluctant to do it, and then she did it, and actually, like, thank God she did, because not only did she have cancer, breast cancer, but it spread to her lymph nodes. So thank God they caught it when, you know, when they did. They were able to remove everything. She went through chemotherapy. Not sure about the radiation part, but she had a long fight too, and she bounced back, and she is beautiful, still together, still working every day, still making time to work out. And like, that's just what my goal is in life.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's like you said, like you're looking for positive stuff. And then I would say it's such an internal thing you're going through that, like you said, like when you go out for support, you just want to be normal. You just want to go to brunch, have fun.
Yep. And I want to,
normal. Yeah.
I'm like, can't wait to go out at night when I get some energy and can stay up past 8 o'clock too. And the bars open up. Like I cannot wait to have like nightlife back. Hopefully this spring or summer, because I'm going to get it.
I can't wait for nightlife to come back. I want my job back.
I bet.
Oh.
I can't wait for like a girls' night out to dance. Like all these things that like we don't have right now that are like the biggest stress relief. Like that was like for me and my girlfriends to get together and go to a nice dinner in the city and like go out after and just act like idiots. Like that's just what I want to do so bad. Like I need it so bad right now.
And I hope
nobody could do it.
I'll tell you though, I actually even wonder, it's such this weird thing for me. And I've been a bartender for my whole life. And I wonder, and I'm not trying to be negative, but I wonder if that's going to happen again.
If we're going to be allowed this summer, right?
Well, not only just be allowed, but I've even noticed that when I was back at work here and there, even the people that are like, that are like not really for the whole humbug of everything here,
Mm-hmm.
you still won't see people like being like, just going out hugging each other like they're.
Right.
I think we're still going. When I see a crowd of people at the bar, I feel dirt. I feel like, oh, they shouldn't be near each other,
Right.
even though I don't believe all this crap.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
So I
nervous. Sure.
So I wonder if like 7 girls are going to be hopping out of an Uber all drunk on a bachelorette party ever again. You know what I mean?
So this summer, well, honestly, I do think, because if you think back to last summer, the cases went down and it was still new. So I think with the amount of people being vaccinated and with once the weather breaks and if things are outdoors, I do think it'll be safe. I mean, to say that would I walk in a place that has hundreds of people? No, but I doubt they're going to allow that.
Yeah.
But I would feel confident in the summertime. Like I did do a couple vacations last summer. I was on the beach and, you're sitting in your own beach chair. You're not touching anybody. You're outside. You can space out your beach chairs. I walk the boards. Like that's therapy for me to breathe in the salt air. Like you're not keeping me from that. Like that's what I need to keep going. But I do think things might be a little bit better this summer, but come next fall, who knows,
Yeah.
It has to improve at some point. Like I have to believe that, because if not, like.
No, it will. I mean, I didn't mean, I'm just talking about all them crazy little
Right.
things, like too many guys screaming at the football. I mean, screaming at the TV. And it's like, you just hope that kind of normalcy comes back,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it will. Like Kelly
I think
said,
definitely by 2022, but what we'll see, I think, once May comes around, I do think that life will get better. I heard that Philly was lifting more restrictions as of, what's today, Saturday?
Yeah.
I think they made an announcement for yesterday that they were starting to, whether it's that they went up to 50% occupancy or whatever for the restaurants. But as the weather gets warmer, people want to go out, and all those businesses down there, like they need to survive, like there's so many that didn't make it. So it's a shame.
And I think no matter what, the longer this goes on, eventually, even the people that are like, that are very aligned with it, they're going to say, okay, at some point we got to start being normal again.
Right. Because mental health at this point, like people who were, I have learned a lot about addiction through my fiance. And like, I couldn't imagine if like you had a single person who was sober and like lost everything. Like, they need their meetings, and some things were on Zoom, but I don't believe that like he's going to in-person meetings now, which he likes better. And I don't blame him. He's getting out of the house and he's able to like, he was doing the Zoom meetings like during quarantine when like we were all working from home and all, like there's no privacy and there's no outlet for that. Like when you're talking about your demons with trying to like fight through every day and stay sober, like you do need to get out of the house and talk privately about that. But I just think that the mental health, that the issues that have to be going on now because of that. And I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but I keep hearing about suicides. Like it's awful. It's awful.
I'm hearing about suicide in young kids.
Yes.
Like young children, like ages that I didn't think considered suicide, like 8, 9, 10. I'm not kidding.
Oh,
yeah. Well, that's something we talked about on here before, and I think a lot of that has to do with social media.
Yeah.
They were talking about, psychologists and how, especially in girls, it was spiking because, like they were saying, with girls, that's how they kind of take out their anger through social media, like spreading like rumors and things. Whereas like boys are more physical, like they'll want to get into a fight or whatever, and then it's
Yeah, I think
it's a different world today for kids. It's sad. Like I don't know how. Thank God we had the childhood that we did, and we actually could get out and like we didn't have phones and we actually had interaction with friends, and like we would, walk around and it was so healthy.
I don't think we
Yeah.
realize that little pocket. Like what I say to people is, I don't want to, I love that there is social media. I love, like, we couldn't do this
Stay connected,
podcast.
yeah.
We couldn't do this podcast in 1993.
Mm-mm.
But at the same time, you know what we got to grow up in that innocent age where you can go out and hang out with people on the street. Like I really have yet to come across anything quite like
Mm-hmm.
Southwest Philly in my travels. I
Mm-hmm.
don't, and I don't know if it's because the time has passed, if it just doesn't exist because of the time period or whatever, but people really don't have that kind of sense of community like we had
Right.
anymore.
Right.
So,
Like I never see a group of kids throwing a football like on a street.
never.
Yeah.
Like I never see that. Like that's all I did. Like we
Right.
get on our bikes, go play manhunt, go play basketball, go
Mm-hmm.
play football in the streets and yell at the cars that were in our way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really ever see that, it's,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
It's because they're all inside on their tablets and devices, or the whole video game thing too.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
even one that I see like on TV that I always laugh about, when you got like somebody playing hockey in the street and they move the net whenever the car
Mm-hmm.
comes,
Yeah.
and I laugh because I'm like, I remember many games of that, and the funny part is I never played soccer nor hockey, but yet if we were on the street and people were playing soccer or hockey, whatever, I'm playing.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's a shame, man. We, where we grew up in Southwest Philly, it really was, that was some of the best times of my life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We had a nice little area like
And
in
we could
Southwest.
walk everywhere too, which was so nice. Like I didn't have to ask my mom like to drive me here or drive me there. Like I remember, I would get home from school, walk to cheerleading, walk to dance in school, then wherever, and I remember like Saturdays, like football games, then going down Finnegan's after. Like there's so many great memories of just,
And I would
being a kid and being carefree.
and I would just walk everywhere. Like,
Mhm.
I remember going back there later on in life and being like, because me and my brother we went to Barney's and we lived on 72nd Street. So to us, it
I
was like,
remember your house growing up.
yeah. So,
I
so
feel like
to-
you guys had a couple parties. You definitely did.
yeah, we
Not, I feel like
partied.
you definitely did.
But what I thought was so funny was I went back there as an adult, like maybe in my 30s, maybe, I mean, in my late 20s or something. And I'd come back and I was like, I'm going to walk from my house to St. Barney's. And it took me like 5 minutes. Why did I feel like that was
So
the
far
endless
away.
journey?
Or like going to Penrose Plaza felt like it was so far away.
Yeah.
Like if we did that, that was like,
Huge.
yes.
There was just something, Tom, how funny was that? That reminded me of the Penrose Plaza Pizza Hut, where there's a guy that's got like a viral video about like remember when you used to read 5 books and get a personal pan pizza or whatever? And everybody on those days when like Dare or something came in and you got that Pizza Hut, we'd all walk to Penrose Plaza.
That
I
was
remember like high school getting out early and going to Pizza Hut. Like on Wednesdays and retreat days, we would
Yeah,
go there.
it was like a huge thing. I remember we used to beat the bill there too because it was like a restaurant. We were like me and like a couple of kids from like, Kevin Smith and everybody. We'd sit there and then like you try to leave the last person there, which go ahead.
Pizza Hut was a hike for me because I was the 62nd. So,
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. See, some of you guys would do it because that was our Pizza Hut. So what I used to love about days like that and Fells Napta days where people would go to Fells Napta to jump off, I used to love them days because finally somebody walked from St. Barnabas to my house.
Yeah. Wait, what was Fells Napta?
When we used to go jump off a bridge by the old soap factory in the middle of like the Elmwood Park Creek area where they would do keg parties and stuff.
I've been to a couple of keg parties there, but I didn't know that people jumped off anything.
There's a bridge up there. Tom, you know what I'm talking about.
well, no, because I remember we would ride our bikes down to Hoffman Park and jump
That's
off.
further. That's a lot further.
Yeah, that was out in Delaware County. So we would ride our bikes out there and jump off the trestle.
See, boys were bad and had a lot of energy, and where I definitely
Yeah.
didn't jump off anything.
Well, do you remember that giant thing that said NAPTA? Like when you get to like 70th and Woodland before you make that left to start going up to like Drexel Hill. There was remember where Big Top Beer Delivery was?
Yes.
So behind Big Top Beer Delivery was just like woods and like a deserted factory. And there was a train trestle that was, again, it's another one of them things. To me, it was 100 miles high. I went back as I got older just to look at it. It's like
Right.
20, it's like 10, 15 feet drop. But like that's what we did. You'd go up
Yeah.
there and jump into the little disgusting creek with like green ooze in it.
Oh
Surprise.
gosh.
Yeah, it's talking about cancer. That's probably
Yeah.
how
Right?
we.
That's the first thing I thought. I'm like, well, maybe I got to go to the doctor. Jesus.
God.
Yeah. So Kel, is there any advice or anything that you can maybe relay to especially people in general, but in particular
Yeah.
women about because
Never.
one thing that you just found that on your own when you were 33, which I didn't know that was the case.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So, how do I say this without being like too, so I always had, they call it like dense breasts, like where you can have a lot of tissue and lumps, and that's just your natural makeup that you have
Okay.
lumpy breasts. I don't know how else to say this.
That's what my
So-
girlfriend tells me I got. So,
so I always had that problem. So when you have dense tissue like that, it's very hard to differentiate what's benign, what could be cancerous. So at 33, when I found that lump, they had to do the biopsy on it, and then they marked it, and it was benign at the time, but that's actually the same area that the cancer came back in.
Okay.
So if I could give any advice for guys or girls, is never ignore pain, because what happened, that started at 33, then I had something else happen at 35, had another mass grew, it was benign. Once I had that surgery, I started having underarm pain like a year after that. And I had 2 hospitals look at it, saw multiple doctors, and they told me it was scar tissue. Every time I put deodorant on a certain time of the month, my underarm was really tender, like just rolling deodorant on, which should never hurt you.
Yeah.
But when I went to put deodorant on, it felt like really sore, and like, but I worked out so much too that like I never knew what was a strain from, if I was doing a pull-up or whatever. So
Yeah.
I went and had it checked. I had ultrasounds done, but I was told, it's scar tissue. So I let it go. And I just accepted that it was there because I trusted the doctors, and I had 2 hospitals look at it. When I went in for my mammogram, it was March 2019. Everything was clear, but I did call them and tell them about pain. Mm-hmm. And I should have pushed more, but when they dismissed me, I thought, I'm fine. You trust.
Well,
when the doctor's looking at you and saying you're good.
Yeah.
Well, this is something I've noticed. And Kelly, I kind of wanted to bring this up, but I didn't want to, I don't know if it necessarily pertains to you, but it feels like there's something there where what I've noticed as I've got older is, you got to remember, and I don't mean this as a slight to doctors. They're not perfect. They're not geniuses.
We know our bodies best.
Yeah. And so like, there was a couple of things you said in there, and I had a pilonidal cyst, which is, I don't know if you know what that is. I'm not going to even go into detail, but I knew I had it. And I knew I had it because for 4 years I avoided it. And so many things happened. I was positive that's what I had. Mm-hmm. And I would go to because it comes and goes. So I would go to the doctor when it was not there.
Right.
And they would I'm not kidding. They would like laugh me out of the place. Like, okay, you got on WebMD. And I'm like, dude, look, I know that's what I have. I just took care of it. Mm-hmm. What I'm getting at is 4 years of kind of going there. I finally had the opportunity to go when it was like about to burst. And the doctor that I went to actually was reluctant. I was like, well, what was it? And he was like a pilonidal cyst. And I'm not trying to say I'm smart as a doctor. What I'm trying to say is looking back at that little process, I was a little perplexed at like, they told me 3 times there's nothing wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
So,
crazy.
yeah. So, I mean,
We have to be our biggest advocate. But like you said, like a lot of people tend to think that, I'm one of those people because I trusted what they told me. I trusted it. Like I had pain under my arm, but I had that surgery at 35 years old. So I thought it could be scar. And maybe it was scar tissue. And I tend to think too, like maybe it was scar tissue and it was so weak there that that's why it grew there because it was a weak spot already. I try to go through this all the time in my head. And even when I ask my doctors, like, well, like they don't know. They really don't know. Like when you ask them direct questions, like I said, one of the very first questions I asked my oncologist, like, do you think that maybe it started in my lymph node first and spread to my breast because I had the pain there before my breast? And she said, statistically, it starts in the breast and goes to the node. But I had the pain in the node. So, but who knows? Like, they never really know.
yeah. And I like I
They
said,
could
I don't.
just put you in like a statistic with everyone else. Well, everyone with this kind of diagnosis and this size tumor gets this type of treatment, and you're just classified with another whole group of women that are my age that, but yeah, you cannot, like, you have to listen to your body. You can't ignore pain. I wish at 35, when that first happened, I should have probably fought to have the mastectomy then, because I wouldn't be going through this right now if I had them removed.
I
But
think
unfortunately, with insurance and everything today, like unless you come back with you test positive for the genetic testing, which for the BRCA gene, I tested negative for that. That's the only way that like they'll even consider doing a mastectomy. And it makes me mad that the guidelines for starting mammograms are 40 years old. Yet if you are big breasted, it should be 30, in my opinion.
right.
Like there's things need to change to say, there are young people who get diagnosed in their 20s and 30s and it's too late because how would they have known?
Yeah.
If they have, cystic breasts, and how would you know any different from what lump is actually just benign tissue versus what's cancerous? It's impossible.
Yeah, and I think a lot of guys, well, guys in particular, I can only speak for our perspective, but a lot of times guys like see something wrong or whatever, and you're like, I'm getting old, it happens. And if you do go and get checked out, and they say, oh, it's fine, even if you're paying attention to your body, and you're like, I don't know. I think our mentality is like, I think there's a little bit of fear to maybe get a second opinion
Yeah.
because you don't want to know, you don't want to find out that the first doctor was wrong.
Well, that dude, go ahead.
I get it.
Yeah, well, that's
that.
When I had that polynoid cyst, I basically was like, oh man. And going back to what Kelly was saying, I was young. It's not a polynoid cyst is nothing. It's basically you get something where your tailbone is, and every like 1 out of 3 men get it. But the whole thing is it's the severe pain. Like I couldn't even sit down for like
That's what I was
6
going to ask
months.
you.
Yeah.
So is it something that grows like outside of your skin, or is it in?
Well, what it is there's a space in your tailbone, okay, where you actually used to have a tail, they say. So it's like as if, imagine if somehow over time we don't have a tail, there's still a space in between the bone and like it's just empty gap. And so what happens is if you like eat too much red meat or something happens and stuff gets into that space and it gets infected. And you get what I mean?
Yep.
And so what happens though is it can erupt or it can whatever, but there's a lot of there's I think that there's some dangerous stuff that come of it, but the bottom line is it's excruciating pain. And I didn't go to the doctors and then it subsided. But I read that you can get it removed. You can only get it removed when it's subsided, but the doctor can only diagnose this when it's there. You get me?
Yep.
So
Sure.
I would go to the doctor and be like, look, a year ago, I know I had this. And they're looking at me like, just get out of here. And then it never came up again, but they said that it could come and go. And finally it came back when I was able to go to the doctor. And it was weird because it was the same doctor and he was like reluctant. Like even the day that I had it, it was like he didn't want to say you were right. It was so weird. And in the end, they had to cut it open and pack it up and everything. But Listen, I wasn't a genius for knowing it, but when you get something 3 times and you think it's 10 other things, but those other 9 things are not things that go away, and this goes
Mhm.
away and comes back, I narrowed down. This must be what it is, you know?
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything right either. I guess I'm going with what Tommy said. Basically, for 6 months, I couldn't sit down. And in my head, I'm like, I'm probably going to die of something. And I'm too afraid to go to the doctors.
Ugh,
Ugh.
it's awful.
So yeah, I mean, we're getting older. We got to get our asses in there, Tom. I don't know if you go a lot or whatever, but I got
No,
to.
no, like I was just saying, I haven't gone to the doctors in, in a while. But that's just with COVID and everything, happening. And again, I do
And that's the
absolutely.
scary part. Like people are avoiding it, but you know how many cancer diagnoses happened at the time when I was
Oh yeah.
diagnosed?
Oh yeah.
Because I was due for my mammogram in March. I got an appointment. I think they started taking maybe in June, and I went in early July. Everything started for me. I would have been there in March if I could have went.
Yeah.
So did this, in that 4-month time frame. So I think that this like grew crazy. No, but like I wish I could have went in March because maybe I would have been that much,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
That's one thing that they talked about.
they can
Another.
never do that again. I listen, pandemic or not, people need to get things checked. Like, I don't know. It just makes me angry that because like I said, I'm one of those people. I was never late with my appointments, my yearly exams, everything I needed to do. And because of COVID, I couldn't go in March. I had to wait till July. And what
Yeah.
if I just said, oh, I was still scared in July and waited till the fall? What
Yeah.
would my diagnosis be? That like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine how many people,
Well,
like my mom, for one, who's still waiting and ignoring, not because of fear of COVID, because now she has different fears, but like you can't put it off.
Oh yeah.
There's a reason that they say that we need these screenings and need to do these things. And especially for girls, if anyone's listening, like, if you are in your late 30s or early 30s and you think you feel something, like say something and have it looked at. Like, don't ignore it because you might save yourself so much aggravation and pain and financial hardship. And, you know, it's just the younger you are, if you think you catch something, I feel like is the better because, it might be
Yeah.
early stage or, the less treatment you can have is the best. And if they can just remove it.
So have you been able to work throughout all this?
Now, so I stopped working in July
Okay.
and, I had hopes to be cancer free by now and not in treatment.
Right.
I thought that like I thought I was going to be back to work by March or April, but since that MRI and the chemo didn't fully work the way that we had
Yeah.
hoped it was going to, it's changed a lot. So I'm not really sure about when I am going to be able to go back. It's kind of like a waiting game right now to see how my body reacts. And
Mhm.
the thing is with this treatment, it's cumulative. So I could be really beat down by summertime or the fall. I don't know. I'm going to try to do everything I can to be strong and fight through it. And I'm going to tell you that I'm going to be okay and be tough. But truth is, there are some days that it's hard to get out of bed, like
Yeah.
where like I'm just tired or get off the couch. I have to say I do get out of bed every day, but then sometimes I just move to the couch. Like
Right.
but yeah. So I'm kind of up in the air. Like I don't know, and I'm nervous because I worked in the city and the refineries are right there and there's chemicals around me and a lot of things scare me. My eyes are open to a lot that I didn't pay attention to before.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not sure. Like I have a lot of unknowns in my life right now, and that's hard for me being type A to not know about anything. But
Yeah.
when you go through this, you do have to kind of like stay grounded into like the today and the right now and can't really worry about 3 months from now. I can't really worry about 6 months from now. I kind of, if I do worry about all the what ifs, like I'll probably lose it. So I
Yeah.
can't,
Yeah.
like, I just have to like, oh, well, it's sunny out and it's Saturday and I'm going to enjoy my weekend and see
Yeah.
how things happen and see how my body responds to treatment and then figure out from there. But I do hope I can go back. My employer has been absolutely amazing and so supportive. I couldn't work for a better family. I just hope that like I get the strength, because I did inside sales. So it's a lot of talking
Mhm.
And there are days before when I was healthy that I would go home and be really tired, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
can't imagine the level of tired that I'm going to have now, like with doing things. But it's got to take one day at a time.
Well, you're motivating me because your schedule going through the chemo or whatever seems to be still about 10 or 20% more active than my daily activity.
I was thinking the same thing. Like she's like, there's days when I get from my bed to my couch, and I'm like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
See, that's never how I was though. Like I I haven't ever been out of work in my life. Like
Yeah.
I've been working full time since I had my son at 20 years old. I got pregnant at 19. I've been working full time since then. Like
Yeah.
I never stopped. So I didn't know what it was like to like even when COVID hit. I was furloughed for 6 weeks. That was crazy for me. But knowing how I was exercising every day. I was like, well, this is what I'm gonna do. Like I'm not gonna sit around. Like I went for walks every day, and then I would work out and do like a high intensity training with the girl online on Instagram. Like I found ways to like stay motivated. And we were at like Home Depot every weekend because that was like the only thing that you could do. Like we
Yeah.
were doing stuff to the house and whatever, like just to get out and get air. And yeah, so now I'm like, I've been home pretty much a year now. I went back to work June, but June was really crazy in Philadelphia with the protests, and
Yeah.
it was a crazy month. And then, so I think I was back in the office like part-time, but then still working from home some days because of everything that was going on. I think maybe like we were in the yellow phase too. Remember that? It was like
Yeah. Yeah.
red, yellow, green, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
And
forgot
like,
about that. This seems like
yeah, right. It was like
97.
2 weeks and we're going to be this. And then that, yeah. And it was just like, felt like forever to get the green. Which I don't even know. Or did we even get to green?
No,
Like,
you're making me actually. I totally forgot about the color system. It was there, and they were like, "We're in the orange," and then it just went away.
yeah, like we haven't even heard about it since. So like July, we went back. I went back full time, and then like all the appointments started right away because things started opening up, and then it was just like one thing after another with these appointments. And then I was diagnosed July 23rd, and then my last day of work was July 31st because suddenly, like once I got in with Penn, they're like, "We need you to do this, we need you to do that," and I'm like, "How am I working?" And thank God, my employers were just so caring and loving. And I actually got the phone call when I was at work,
Okay.
and my owner was there that day, and my office is next to hers, and she heard the call. She knew everything that was going on, and I was waiting for it, and she heard me and came right in, and she was the first person by my side. Like I couldn't even stand up. And thankfully, the one day my fiance and I, we met together. We met at work, and thank God there's a reason that, he was there to like hurry up. And I don't like, he was like, I guess he got my car. I don't even know if it was like someone else's car. He was just like, come on, I'm going to take you to your mom's. And then I remember like going right to my mom's house. I think my mom was like in such shock that like she didn't even, I don't even think she like understood how to react.
Yeah.
Like it was just like a day that like we called my son on the way and like said, can you meet us? We have to talk to you. And like looking back, I probably would have done things a little bit different and tried to stay calm. But how do you ever stay calm when someone calls you and tells you that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you just
Right.
fall apart. And thank God I didn't know how hard it was going to be in that moment, because I would have never got up out of bed. Like, thank God it was like given to me in like small pieces, like they don't know the whole picture up front. So like well, here's what we know so far. So we need to do this test and we need to biopsy this. So it's like you get like little bits of information, but it is for the best, because that's like, I guess how I kept waking up every day to like with the will to go on, because I'm like, well, you still have hope.
I never thought about it like that, because I always picture it like you go from 0 to 100, but the actual diagnosis just takes time anyway.
It's a lot of time, and that's how I made the decision. I was like, I just can't work right now. Like being in sales, like you have to focus, and you have to be happy and positive. And in my line of work, like I was very angry in the beginning too. Like if someone wanted to complain to me about like a car issue, or you hear random things from people, like I don't know that I would have had the patience to be like, yo buddy, don't
Yeah.
come at me with your complaint right now. Like, I hate to even say that, but like I
No,
was
that
going through too
makes
much,
yeah.
and that wouldn't have been good for me with how
But
I
no,
normally
but
do.
but you know what? Honestly, and I've had this in other because of other things in my life where I've started to get a different awareness, and I being in the restaurant business,
Mm-hmm.
your situation would be the extreme of it. But when I went through some situations in my life, I literally started going into jobs and watching certain complaints from customers. And it's like you really
Crazy.
want to lean in and be like, dude, there's a lot more going on in the world than what.
Yes, like this is a
Yeah.
luxury that you're in a restaurant. Be grateful that someone's
Yeah.
waiting on you. Like, just be appreciative that you're out of your house, that
Yeah.
you're able to take a shower and get out for the day. Like,
Well,
what?
and like I said, like in your situation, it'd be a little bit more extreme because the thing is I guess where I was correlating the two is when you really understand when you're going through something like you're going through, like there's no way you could avoid the contrast between what this person is complaining to you about. Where
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I've said that with people, like even just to use the restaurant business for an example, it's like some people I look at them and I'm like, didn't you come out to have a good time?
Right,
Like,
right.
why are
Just be
you
happy.
making your
Life is too
time? Yeah,
short. Yeah.
you
Enjoy
know,
your drink.
Uh,
Like be lucky that you can handle alcohol because not everybody can.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
me.
me right now. Like I want to be able to like drink so bad, but I am having an issue with it. Like I have no tolerance right now. And like with chemo, you wake up feeling hungover. So they're like I just can't really why would I want to add to that? Like I can't
Yeah.
right now
I would
until
hate to be. I would hate to see the person that came and gave you some crap about something, and you're just like,
uh,
"Listen, woman, okay, or
yeah.
whoever."
So thank God, because I am truly like an upbeat positive person and like was one to like always listen and take that and like calm them down and get them answers and get the solution that they needed to hear, but like I was not in the right frame of mind, which I think that that's okay considering my diagnosis. And
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
I do think once I get through all this, I will be back to myself where I'll be able to like calm people down. And because I do, it's inside sales, but it's like a customer service position as well. So maybe I'll be even better at it than
Well,
I
that's
ever was.
like I was gonna say. I guess some of the things I'm talking about is just like when my father passed away or whatever. And I have been in situations where, and I call it humanizing people,
Mm-hmm.
where like I've actually said to people like, hey man, like when I'm when there's a problem at work, like I'll walk over to the table because you can get lost in the problem. You
Yeah.
come like what's going on here, blah blah blah. And I've learned to like I'll walk over to a table and be like, hey man, the girl messed up. Like why don't you
Can
relax
we
and
just give you a
we'll
drink
have
on
a
the
good
house or
day.
desserts on the house, whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the thing is, you always say like, oh, "Can I give you a dessert or whatever?" But there's another way to like look at somebody and be like, "Dude, I, like let's just have a good time." There's a
Right.
lot, and
Yeah.
and you just I've said to a lady before, like, "Do you need a hug?" like
Yeah.
and that's but then we get there too, like you can get taken out of it. But one thing I think going forward, like you kept saying, I hope maybe something good comes out of this. And I think what's going to come out of it is you're going to have a way better appreciation for what's going on, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
hope so.
I was thinking the same thing, in your line of work. I would imagine that a lot of people that, once they get diagnosed and they go through what they go through and then they overcome it, I
Mm-hmm.
would imagine that it's almost like I don't
It's
know if
like
you ever
being born again.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if you ever saw the movie Fight Club, but there's a moment where Brad Pitt sticks a gun to this guy's head
Mm-hmm.
working at, like a gas station or whatever. And he starts to grill him like, what did you want to do with your life? What did you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, I wanted to be what the hell, a doctor or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes his license and he looks at it and he goes, okay, I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna come back to your house in 6 months, and you better be on your way to becoming a doctor.
Yeah.
And the Edward Norton was like, what the fuck, are you crazy? Like what how could you do that? And he was like, his cereal tomorrow morning will taste so much better than it ever did. And I just completely changed his life, his perspective on the world, on life, that he was at that point where he could have
Mm-hmm.
potentially died. Now it's like being reborn, like you just said. It's a complete
Mm-hmm.
awakening.
I need
Yeah.
that guy. I need that guy from that movie in my life.
I think there's a lot of people that would say they need Brad Pitt in their life. Yeah.
No, hey, whatever.
Yeah.
But we have to hope though too, like not just with me, but like this whole pandemic, that I would think that people have to be more appreciative of life over like once like we get
yeah.
little things back, like hopefully there's less complaints in the restaurant business and less complaints like with people overall. Like just be appreciative that like we're not cooped up in our homes anymore and we're not, it's been a tough year,
For me, what I think is crazy is I've experienced things where I think moving forward, I've just lived life where like I worked 12-hour shifts. I made a ton of cash, but to be honest with you, I didn't need to make like I could have left early, And the thing is my whole entire life, even going back to when I was a kid, and I'm sure Tommy had this. I don't know about yourself, but I mean, I never really ate at home because it was like I was working when I was 13 and I would get something at work and I'd come home and my mom was a single mom and she'd be asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've never eaten dinner at 6 o'clock. You know what I mean? I've never, there's so many things that I've never done that like
that you're doing now.
Yeah. And then move it. So I think for some people in the restaurant business, the weirdest thing is like for other people, they're missing like nightlife. Bartenders don't miss nightlife. I don't, but I realize I never had a home life,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so moving forward, I think where I'm going to have a little bit of a blessing is, I learned to live off of nothing. And if I go get 2-3 shifts or whatever, I'll be making triple what I'm getting on unemployment. And so I don't really feel that urge anymore I think I'm going to take the early out more and
appreciate things different. Yeah.
Yeah.
How is life in Baltimore?
It's horrible. It's Baltimore. Well, there's nothing here. There's nothing here but bars.
Oh, wow.
Well, there's think about it. Like, have you ever come to Baltimore?
I have. Yeah.
What did you come for?
A date night.
All right, that's okay. That happens too, but there's conventions, baseball, concerts.
There's just all entertainment, yeah.
And it's convention center. Like basically, Baltimore has a pretty big convention center, and the convention center is the hub for everything in the harbor and concerts and sports and whatever, and all that stuff's canceled. So my bar can open right now. But it doesn't make any sense because there's no baseball.
There's no tourists coming in.
There's no tourists. It's zero. So, I mean, and I'm sure there's a reason to open for some bars around here. But either way, Baltimore is a small town and it doesn't really have its own. Like, I feel like Philadelphia has its own economy. If they were to lose the baseball teams or something, it would still have an economy. Like, Baltimore doesn't.
It's too small.
Yeah, it needs all that.
So Kel, is there, now that you've kind of gone through what you're going through, was there anything like that you've been thinking about this past year that you maybe have been putting off in life that like now you've gone through this, you're like, you know what, once I get cleared, I'm going to go jump out of a fucking airplane or something like.
Get married.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
I thought she was going to say be on our podcast.
Well, she's making that happen now, but because
so we had like postponed our wedding a couple years ago, and I told you my fiance is working like on his sobriety. He's 2.5 years sober, and now that this happened, I just hope, because we've been through so much together and he's been by my side throughout this whole thing. Like he saved my hair. He did so much work throughout this, and it has to be so hard, like, to watch your spouse suffer. And, when I first got diagnosed, like we cried a lot, and he said, like, why you? Like, I wish it was me. Like, I wish I could go through this for you. And, so I just can't wait to like, finally, like for us to like be healthy together and be able to like get our planning together. We did set a date, but like now that like I'm still in the second treatment, I kind of have a few more unknowns that like I don't even know, because when you envision your wedding day, like you want to be, well, I always envision my wedding day like being in the best health of my life, being the best version of myself. And we have this November set, but I'm scared that by the fall I'm gonna not be well. So I'm like really nervous, but with COVID, there's all these like micro weddings happening.
Hmm.
So I'm like, well, maybe if I get creative, maybe we can have like a micro wedding and have just like a small dinner party. But at the same time, like I envision like being cancer free and celebrating with all my friends and having like, you know, 150 guests, 175 guests there, like
Yeah.
all my friends and family together, like, and like, how amazing would that be that I'm celebrating, like, obviously getting married, but like life and
Yeah.
health and all, like I was looking forward to that. And now, but that is like the one thing that is that, I wanted to like really plan and do, but it's
Well,
kind of hard
you can
because
always do the small one and then do a big one.
yeah, do a big one later. That's
Like
true. Like,
you guys could just go get married at the courthouse or something, and
yeah.
do
I
that for
don't want
you
to do
guys.
that though. We actually my church, I belong to St. Madeline's Parish in Ridley Park, and like since this diagnosis too, like I didn't go to church at all. Like I kind of lost my way with my faith, and when you go through something like this, it brings you back to that.
Hmm.
And I try to get to church. Like there are some weeks that like I'm not feeling well, but my fiance and I my fiance and I went weekly in the beginning, and we met our pastor and like we built the relationship with him. So that is really important to me that I do get married at my church and with my pastor because he's watching us go through this and like guiding us and praying for us. And
That's pretty cool.
yeah, so like I feel like the most important thing to me is the church, and like anything else is like secondary. Like God bless you.
Thank you.
Whatever we do to do after is just going to be like that's like trivial, but like the most important thing is to have it, like I want that church wedding like with our families there. And but I, like I said, like still going through this treatment, like I'm kind of like not ready to jump in and start planning, and I'm
Right.
nervous because I don't want to do all this and then all the money that it's involved, and then what if I don't feel good? Like I'm just scared, like I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I mean,
It's a big day to plan not feeling well. Like there's a
yeah.
lot of things I can confidently say, like, well, I'll be okay to get to the gym, but like to plan, a wedding day with just thousands of dollars and be like, on that day, I don't want to
Yeah.
feel that. Like I want to feel great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually, I mean,
It,
it's a beautiful answer considering
Oh,
like,
thanks.
yeah, no, because I mean, like for me, like I can't even imagine getting married, but let alone like for me, it would be like, I don't know, going to Rome or something to,
Mhm.
see the
I
Colosseum
mean,
and
I
stuff
have a
like that.
bucket list of traveling and to do too, but the most important part, like just because of the way he stood by my side, like when someone takes care of you without even saying those vows,
Yeah.
yeah.
like that's says a lot about a person. Like we didn't even make those vows yet, we live them.
Hmm.
So it's like I'm ready to say them and make it
Yeah.
known now.
Yeah. Well, he got a good one. I mean, Kelly,
Oh, thanks.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure that Bender can, can attest to this. Like Kelly was one of the hot chicks from Southwest.
Was oh
Was,
Well, what I'm saying,
is.
no, I said
The hell you
from
mean
South.
was?
I said from Southwest. We're not part of Southwest. Now she's one of the hot Delco chicks.
oh
Well,
thanks.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
like
yeah.
Delco.
Yeah, I know,
Probably,
but what I'm
probably got
saying
them all
is,
beat.
like growing up, like Kelly was one of the like, that was like
oh,
she was one of the hot girls. You know what I mean?
thank you.
Yeah, she was like the hot cheerleader and all.
Yeah. Well, when you were saying all that stuff, what I thought was interesting when you were talking about like working out and all that stuff, and I'm thinking in my head, like, like you were talking about how you looked over at somebody and you're like, that used to be me because they're like pumping away and you're whatever.
Yeah,
And it's like, it's something I've never been the guy who like was in the gym all the time and had that
yeah,
taken from me in a sense. And like, I was understanding how, how much energy you have and use and how that
yeah.
must be a difficult thing to go
That
through.
that was very hard for me. I dreamt of the gym. Like
Yeah.
that's like I dreamt of a lot of things when I was first diagnosed. Like I dreamt of my best friend and I trying on clothes and planning a trip to Vegas, like getting on the plane. Like I dreamt of all these like carefree things in my life that I took for granted.
Mhm.
Like, and COVID didn't help with that because they closed the gym doors that like we couldn't
Yeah.
even walk in a gym. So like for me to like go there 2 weeks ago before my second treatment started, like that was an emotional thing for me because it means so much. And my gym actually, they had a benefit for me in September, which was really amazing. It's a brand new gym that another girl from Southwest opened, Tiffany McMenamin, and I was so
Oh yeah, yeah.
grateful. She got together with like all my girlfriends from childhood, and they made such a successful event for me.
Nice.
And they all dedicated, they had classes that whole day, and they dedicated all their rides to me. And my friends were telling me about it, like after the fact, like some of the songs that they played, and the instructors were like saying things about me that they knew. Like it's like so emotional, and it just means the world to me that like everyone came together in the Ridley community in Southwest and like helped me out, because it was hard in the beginning, because you're going through so much, and then the bills start rolling in, and like my disability didn't even start at that point. So like not only are you overwhelmed that like, oh my God, I have cancer, but then you're overwhelmed with, you know, you get the mail every day. Like that doesn't stop because you have cancer, and you're opening bills up, and you're like, thank God I had my fiance, but I was very independent too, like worked, like I said, I've never been out of work. I've worked 20 years full time. I was at Enterprise for 10 years and Pacifico for another 10. So for me to even lose all my independence, like that was hard, because I'm not used to having to be taken care of. And I don't like that. Like that bothered me. Like even after my surgery, I struggled with my fiance. Like I'm very like particular about our home, and like I would say like, can you do this, or and he's like, it can wait, it's okay, like the laundry can pile up a little bit, Kel, it's not, but like he knows how I am too. But that was hard for me. It's just I lost everything. I mean, you lose your health, you lose your job, you lose like everything that made me happy in life, which is the little things about, if I could go to the gym for 30 minutes, that's what brings me happiness. Going out with my friends, seeing my family, like we couldn't do anything. And then even when my family came over in the beginning, I was so sick, they were scared to come close to me. Even my parents still hesitate. They don't want to hug me or kiss me or touch me because of germs.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I'm better now, but like in the beginning when COVID was worse in the fall, and like my mom still says, like, I don't want to hug you. Like she just gets nervous. But I think it's getting better, and
Well, it's a funny little side story here. But when you were talking about how like I know, your husband or your fiance has to like take care of the house, and you're particular with the way things are. So I remember when
you see, like I like
yes,
your house looks great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
and I remember, so Kelly got into our shore house like sight unseen. We took a ride down. Kelly wasn't there, so Kelly didn't know exactly what she was walking into. And no, it wasn't a mess, but it was a shore house, and it wasn't the nicest place. So I remember like when she came, like she was kind of like, oh, like
how do I get my money back?
A little underwhelmed. So like you left to go somewhere, whatever, and I like scrubbed the whole plate because I felt bad. Like I was like the windows. I remember the windowsills, the screens and everything. Like I was like wiping them down and everything because I felt bad, because I remember you signed up sight unseen. Like we all went down to go check it out, and we were like, all right, yeah, this works. And
it was fine.
No, I know, but
Thank you for doing that. I didn't know.
I know. Well, because you weren't around that much after that.
Yeah.
But so like I felt bad for that, and I just remember thinking like, shit, man, like you left, so I'm like, I'm gonna really try and like clean this place up pretty nice. So that was a little taste of getting to live with Kelly Gerace. So I can understand what your fiance must be going through.
Yeah, he's a neat freak too, so that's why it works. But he works a lot. So and like I said, it's hard because I mean he's gone like 55, 60 hours a week between his job and going to meetings. So he has a lot on his plate. And then for me to and then to take care of me on top of it. And it was hard. When I came home from my surgery, I had drains put in. When you have, I believe like even if a girl was to have like a boob job, you would have drains put in where fluid comes out.
Okay.
So I had 3 drains in, 2 on my right side because of my lymph nodes, 1 on my left. And he did my drains every day, where you have to clean them out and dump them, which is not an easy job to do. And he did amazing. Like we had to do it 3 times a day. He would do it before work, if he had to leave work after lunch, or, he made it work. And then first thing when he walked in from the door, he would do my drains. Like, so he became like a full-time nurse, on top of handling life. So I have to give him a lot of credit, because like I said, for us not to be married yet and to assume and do the role that he did, and do the job that he did, it had to be hard for him.
Well, it's
Yeah.
good you had them, you
Yeah,
know?
thank God. Thank God. I don't know. I feel for people who get diagnosed and don't have support because it breaks my heart.
Yeah. 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 It sounds like you got a good one.
Yeah, yeah, I do. You know,
So,
we're nobody's perfect. We're not perfect. We have our ups and downs, but the thing
yeah.
is that we, um, you know, make it work and we work through it.
Yeah.
And we need.
I see a lot of silver linings here, you know? I do.
Mhm. Aw,
You
thank
I do.
know?
you.
Between the support that you have and your attitude towards this whole thing, like again, that's one of the reasons why I thought it was great to have you on
Thank you. I
because of your
appreciate
positive
it.
outlook. Yeah.
It's nice to see you guys. Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that big wedding. If there's like maybe me and Danny can be dates, and
We'll DJ and do the talking.
well,
We'll
yeah.
just do a little podcast
we'll have
live from the wedding.
we'll have a podcast from the wedding. Yeah, to keep everybody updated. But yeah, I think it was great talking to you, Kel. You look fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I wish I felt that way. I don't feel.
I always
Yeah.
thought it was so natural. I didn't know you put so much work into it when you were talking
Oh.
about the
Yeah.
exercising.
But
Yeah, well, I think the older you get, you do have to work at it. And if I ate bad, I do think I'm so stressed now that's probably why I'm like as thin as I am because it's the stress. But
You look good though. You do.
well,
You
thank
really do. I
you.
mean, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen you too much through your journey, but you look fine. You look good to me. You know.
Thank you. A lot of people say you don't even look sick, and I appreciate hearing that because that's like the biggest thing for me. I don't want to look sick to anybody.
yeah,
See,
yeah.
people tell me I
Especially
look
to
sick all the
myself.
time.
What's that?
What's wrong? People tell me I look sick all the time. Like, dude, what happened to you? I think the bet you know Ronnie Doritas. Ronnie Doritas seen me like 2 years ago, and he said, "Damn man, what happened to you? You got a rough paper route?" I said, "What the hell, man?"
Oh
But
my
no, I mean we're
goodness.
all getting older. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not 20.
No, which it requires more work the older you get.
But Kel, good luck with
Thank you so much. Love you guys. I
with
appreciate
Yeah, I love you
everything and
too.
having me on.
yeah. No, it's great. I mean, it's an
It's
honor to come
crazy
on.
that this was probably our most positive podcast so far.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
yay. That's
Yeah.
success.
Yeah.
Well, any other time you want me to come on,
Hey, we'll have you. Yeah, and
give me a call.
we're gonna be live at your wedding.
Yes, and
Yeah.
how about even after that, like a follow-up when I'm finally declared cancer-free?
We're here. We're
We're having
here.
a party in 2022, okay?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
awesome. Sounds great.
Kel, good luck with everything. And
Okay, thank you.
Kel, amazing talking to you. Seriously.
Likewise,
Good
likewise.
luck.
All right, guys, take care.
I'll
take it
see you.
easy, Kel.
Bye-bye.
All right. So that was
Well, that was pretty good, man. I mean, she's it's good to see she's so positive and
yeah, and she looks
looks
she looks
great.
great. She looks great. I haven't again, so me and Kelly became friendly a little later on in life. Like I guess I was probably like 29, 28 when Kelly and I started to become a little cooler and hang out. And then with the shore house and all, so like we kind of kept up. But as life happens, you kind of fall out of touch with people. She's been in some relationships, and things like that. So it was really shocking, to hear a couple people texted me and was like, "Yo, did you hear about Kelly?" And then I reached out, right away. And unfortunately, like I said, with life, you know how that goes. You just can't really keep in touch with people like you used to.
Well,
And
it was also cool to talk to her because like you get this you get this thing where you don't know what to like. I mean, I'm sure I've said stuff to her online and stuff, but you don't know what to say. I mean, it's a tough thing, it's a tough thing to reach out to someone from the outside and when you don't really know what's going on. So it was great to talk to her and understand what's going on.
oh yeah, it's kind of like the same thing, when somebody dies. Like I always feel, I know I'm supposed to reach out, but it still feels weird. Only because like it's like almost like generic, like, hey, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm here for you, anything you need. And I know it's like the right thing to do, but I almost feel like I wish I could have something more to say.
Or do.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll tell you something, and my I say this to people now, and this was after my father passed away. you know how you say, like, what does that really mean? Like, people, you say, hey, sorry for your loss or whatever. Like, me and my brother said to each other, we afterwards, and I say it to anyone now. You remember people that say that to you, and
Oh yeah,
I'm not saying like you care about those who don't, but what I mean is, there's those that you expect to say it,
yeah.
and even though it seems like such a little empty gesture, there are certain people that just that small gesture from that certain person, and you kind of go like, that was really nice of that person, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. When my father passed, um, I had somebody that showed up to the viewing, who was a friend of mine who we really don't talk much at all. Now, there was a couple, but one in particular, um, I broke down when I saw her because for her to kind of, I don't know how she found out, but for her to reach out and like come, like it really, really meant a lot. And she wasn't the only one. There was a few people. Um, so yeah, so I know exactly what you mean, but yeah, it was triggering when I saw her because I was like, oh my God,
But she honestly, I mean, she's positive. I really think that it's, you listen, there's, of course, there's things that you have no control over. But you do have a little bit of control over your emotion of it. And I think some people give up, and other people fight through it, and God bless them. And that's where the good stories come from.
Yeah, yeah. And Kelly, like I said, Kelly is super positive. She's, takes care of herself. So I'm very confident that she's gonna handle this as best as anybody can and get through it.
Yeah. I thought you'd be proud of me, too. I didn't smoke a cigarette for this episode.
Did you
So,
was that intentional? You didn't want to see you didn't come across like
well,
unhealthy.
that would be disrespectful, I felt.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, that was a good one. That was nice to hear from Kelly, and hopefully, I don't know if there was anything that people could have taken out of that and learned, but again, hopefully, people pay
Well,
attention to their bodies and
and I know she said it, and I'll say it for her again. I mean, if that's a case, I don't know how it works. I mean, as far as guys go, I will say what she said stuck with me, which is don't ignore pain. But I think for the females listening or whatever, I think, like, if you need to go get a mammogram, don't be scared. It's
yeah,
don't let COVID restrictions, because I think we didn't say it when we were talking to her, but she said that, like, I don't think that they were allowing them. But I also I either believe or read that there's a stigma right now too. People just don't want to go to the hospital right now.
right,
And if you got to get a mammogram, maybe next week might be too late. So you
yeah,
go
yeah,
get one now.
yeah. And guys, check your nuts.
Yeah. Check
Feel
your nuts.
feel them balls, boys.
Oh my God, we got so many good ones. Check your nuts now. We got to add that to read the books. Check your
Yeah,
nuts.
check those nuts.
Check those nuts, guys. But yeah, and like, subscribe, guys. Let's all wish the best for Kelly. And we're going to be live from her wedding pretty soon, which I'm really going to be looking forward to. And we'll definitely have her back on the show when all this shit's gone and she kicks cancer's ass. But yeah, make sure you like and subscribe. Tom, lovely talking to you, my friend.
You too, my friend.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, brother.